Goy is here in studio. Yuka, you starting with Stellantis. It's planning to form a joint venture with a Chinese automaker here in Europe.
Well, Sharon, the French-Italian group signed a preliminary agreement with China's Dongfeng to expand their partnership. The joint venture would be 51% owned by Stellantis and based in Europe. Dongfeng's new EV models are set to be assembled at Stellantis' plant here in France, in the west of the country, to comply with the EU's new Made in Europe rules that will require 70% of EV content to be built locally. The owner of Fiat and Citroën says that it could also benefit from China's EV technology.
Meanwhile, Thailand has decided to cut visa-free stays for scores of nationalities. Yuka.
Tourism is important for Thailand's economy, but it has also brought problems. Locals have been complaining about bad behaviour by some visitors, and there have been a string of high-profile crime cases involving foreign nationals. Now the government has voted to tighten its visa rules for tourists. Luke Trago has more.
Thailand's long been an attractive destination for tourists, but now it's getting rid of a 60-day visa exemption for 93 countries, including Europe, Australia and the United States.
Visa conditions will revert to the original bilateral agreements negotiated with each country individually, meaning the rules will vary depending on your passport. Key reasons behind this change are to strengthen security screening at the border and to reduce cases of visa misuse and overstaying.
It comes after a string of high-profile arrests involving foreigners linked to narcotics, sex trafficking and illegally operating businesses, sparking public backlash in Thailand's mostly conservative public society.
We want our country to be safer too, because the more tourists from many countries come in, the more crime there is. I don't agree with the visa-free policy. I think there should be stricter measures or screening processes for people entering the country.
Most visitors will still qualify for a 30-day visa exemption, with some getting just 15, which can be renewed at an immigration office. But some are fretting about newfound restrictions on their movement.
The fact that there's a 60-day visa means you have a lot of kind of room to play around with, and it means you can kind of enjoy all the things that there is to see in Thailand without worrying too much about your visa running out or anything like that. I think a 30-day visa though would really restrict you in what you can see in Thailand.
With tourism worth some 10% of its GDP, Thailand brought in the 60-day exemption 2 years ago as part of efforts to boost the economy in the post-COVID era. Numbers haven't yet really recovered from the pandemic. It drew 40 million visitors in 2019, and it's expecting around 32 million this year.
And here in Europe, Yuka, the British Prime Minister coming under fire once again in Parliament after the government quietly watered down its sanctions on Russian oil.
Well, the government announced a new sanctions package on Tuesday, including a ban on imports of refined products made from Russian crude in third countries. But it also quietly issued a trade license or exemption for jet fuel and diesel, which in reality make up a majority of refined products Britain buys. The Treasury Minister said that the delay was to protect national interest given the impact of the energy crisis caused by the Iran war. On Wednesday, the Prime Minister defended the decision and insisted it was temporary, as the opposition Conservatives leader criticised the decision.
Let me make it clear, I know it hurts him to hear it, he is now choosing to buy dirty Russian oil. That money will be used to fund the killing of Ukrainian soldiers. Isn't he ashamed?
What we announced yesterday was a strong new package of new sanctions, going well beyond existing sanctions. So it's a new package. We also issued 2 targeted short-term licences to phase the new sanctions in and to protect UK consumers.
Well, let's check in on the markets, Yuka.
Well, oil prices fell significantly today after President Donald Trump said a deal with Iran was nearing and some big tankers crossed the Strait of Hormuz. Both the international benchmark Brent crude and US's WTI dropped nearly 6% this Wednesday. US stocks, meanwhile, rose off the back of falling oil prices. The Dow Jones Industrial Average finished above 50,000 points. The Nasdaq rose 1.5% ahead of AI chip giant Nvidia's results. Boeing gained 3% after China confirmed it would buy 200 of its planes following a summit between Presidents Donald Trump and Xi Jinping.
And finally, for now, the US, one man has found a rather innovative solution to skyrocketing fuel prices.
a 30-year-old handyman in Georgia, in the state of Georgia in the United States, has turned his childhood nostalgia into a solution. Filling up his regular car has become too expensive, so he pulled out a broken Barbie car and installed a 2-gallon engine salvaged from an old power washer. The average petrol price in the United States has risen from under $3 a gallon to over $4.50 a gallon in a matter of weeks, and in many large cities is already over $5. Even to fill up his little go-kart, it's not a given. Let's take a listen.
I've always kind of just had a niche for like building go-karts and little things, and once I started seeing how gas prices were and things like that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start making little mini cars. This usually takes about, I don't know, maybe like $3 max to fill it up, depending on how the gas is. Now gas is at like $5 a gallon almost, so if I want to fill this is a 2-gallon tank, so oh my God, I didn't even think about it like that.
And it is cute.
It is, and it's one way to try to beat rising prices. Yuka, thanks so much for that. Yuka Woya there with all of the day's